The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Bolton Han, and I'm founder of Ring Ring Marketing. Most of you on this call are existing clients already, and there's a few of you I decided to open it up to those who aren't clients yet. But the main focus for today is to kind of give you some glimpse as to what will come in 2020, and some of the strategies will continue to evolve, but most of the strategies that worked in 2019 already, of course, they will work in 2020. It's just some fine tuning as we go, especially with Google's changes, Facebook changes, things like that. And this is very, very informal as usual. So if you have any questions, just type in the chat box or reach out to me afterwards. And this webinar is also recorded. So if you want to watch it later, feel free to do so. So let's get started here. So going into 2020, it's even more and more critical these days. You got to be doing multi-channel marketing. So that's a fancy word they like to throw around in MBA these days is omni-channel. So compared to before, used to be very, very simple, just print, maybe newspaper, radio, a few simple ones. The channels used to be very, very simple, but these days it's getting more and more crowded. So you got to be doing multi-channel marketing, both online and offline. They just reach different demographics. So unfortunately, there's just more avenues these days, and we're all just fighting for attention. And very often is, of course, the offline traffic. Offline still works, right? Offline wise, even it's referral, they go online. They go on your website, they check out your online reputation. So offline traffic typically goes online. So that's why you got to make sure you have a good website, good reviews. So I think talking to so many dealers, distributors, or just business owners, they're typically very, very confused. There's so many avenues, right? Their friends will be like, hey, how come you're not on Facebook? How come you're not Pinterest? How come you're not doing this? So there's so much confusion. On top of that, they're constantly getting cold called, spam emails. Hey, are you doing geofencing? Are you just throwing all these fancy words, programmatic, advertising, all these? So what I want to go over with you today is just to kind of help you focus on what's proven to work and just what changes are coming. And the journey can be split into two separate funnels. One is to go after those who already are problem aware. So those are in the red. So problem aware means they already know, for example, if you offer replacing windows and doors, is they already know they need windows and doors. And they would go on Google and they might type in replacement windows at Bay Area, for example, because they already know they need replacement windows. In the good old days, Google search or say Google search functions very, very similar to the print yellow pages. If somebody does go on, flip through the yellow pages looking for replacement windows, right? They already know they need replacement windows. So very similar online wise, Google search functions very similar to that. But within Google search, you have paid advertisement, you can get ranked locally and also organically. And I'm going to go over those in detail, especially what changes are coming in 2020. And these traffic, they typically all land on the website. So the better the website, the higher the conversions. And we're going to go through a checklist of what you got to have on your website to convert these web traffic into phone calls. And for example, the replacement window and door, the buying journey typically is pretty long. It's about 97 days. So since the buying journey is long, then you got to somehow nurture these prospects, be on top of their mind. That's why retargeting or remarketing is a great way to constantly follow them around the internet to invite them to come back to your website and call you. And we'll focus a lot on remarketing. In these days, for large ticket items, I bet you they do check you out online. So the more reviews you have, of course, positive, the more likely they're going to call you. So that is to go after what I considered low-hanging fruit. These are people who already are problem aware. And typically the mindset here is if you are limited at budget, we all do. And most of the home improvement companies, they spend about 8 to 10% of their revenue back on marketing advertising. So typically, we advise them to focus on problem aware um, homeowners. But once you exhaust it, because there's only so many people who are problem aware that's going on Google to look for replacing windows or window covering, then you have to start branding, getting your name out there. And branding awareness journey is a little bit different. Offline wise would be equivalent to TV, radio, right, print, billboards. Those are all considered branding and generating awareness. Because even while they're flipping through the newspaper, they saw one of your print ad. At that given time, when they saw your ad, they're not in the state of mind of looking for your services, but you're planting a seed. And minimally is you need 7 touches to at least have some brand awareness. So offline works. Online, there's also other things you can do for branding and generate awareness and turn them from unaware to aware. So you can do display ads. I'll go over this in detail. You can do display ads, you can do social media ads, send them onto your website or landing page, and then remarket to them. But these folks, you can see we in the industry we call this top of the funnel leads because they're not as warm compared to those who went on the search engine, but still critical. Most of the clients we work with probably if they're doing more than 10 million in range, some clients do 50, 60 million, they always exhausted search. Then once they get past that 10 million threshold, we do open it up quite a bit of display ads. And social media marketing, that is what type of content should you be posting on a regular basis on social media? We'll cover that in details as well. Okay, so 2 separate journeys, going after problem aware folks and to go after non-problem aware yet to build awareness. So that's deep dive and look at the ones that are problem aware already. And that is to leverage the search engines. So within the search engines, there are 3 distinct sections you can market your business. Right at the top, these are Google Ads. Many of them call this PPC, pay-per-click ads. These are ads that typically show up right at the top of Google. Right underneath that, typically is a section called local business search. This section is free, right? That you don't need to pay to get your way in. This section here is Google will choose 3 of the best business and list them in here. And we'll go over the algorithm and what's to come in 2020. What are some of the changes coming in? Lastly, down here, organic search. And very often people call this natural search, or if you do get a lot of spam emails, people cold calling you, they always talk about, hey, SEO, or getting you ranked on first page of Google. They're typically talking about this section down here. So let's deep dive into each of these strategies. First is let's talk about Google Ads. So Google Ads, interesting here is with Google Ads, it is changing quite a bit, meaning that Google is a for-profit business. Since it is a for-profit business, it's trying to make these ads as apparent as possible, as big in real estate as possible. So that way, more people do click on these ads. And of course, it's for profit, right? It doesn't make any money unless people click on these ads. So, what it's secretly doing, if you look at the evolution of Google, it's secretly making ads bigger and bigger. And by turning on some of these called ad extension to make your ad bigger and bigger. Very often, you will see maximum of 4 ads at the top, and they all look huge, further pushing the map listing and the organic listing further down. So it's almost like pay to play these days. Again, some folks, they do right swipe down, skip the ads. But if you're already doing Google ads, Google really want to make sure more people are clicking on these ads, right? Another example, motorized shades in Vegas. You can see these ads just look huge. You just see a little snippet of right local search right underneath it. What's even worse is going to be mobile format. So mobile, what you will see is the first ad typically takes up the whole screen, right? Desktop, right? Your first placement typically is pretty big, but you still see second and third and maybe fourth ad. On mobile, more than 50% of the searches are on mobile devices, depending on where you're at. I think a couple of you on this call, a few of you are from the Bay Area, like window covering, for example, windows and doors in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. Probably 60 to 65 of the searches will be on mobile platform. And you can see the first ad takes up the majority of the whole screen. Even if you're ranked in local search and organic, they're hidden, buried further down. And I'm not loving this, by the way, right? From my point of view, user experience, it kind of sucked. That means, unfortunately, it's a pay-to-play model these days, is you have to be paying Google to get your ad attention, right? But again, this is pay-per-click ads. If you don't click on it, you don't have to pay for it. Okay, and just a couple more examples here. Chicago window blinds, right? You can see all these, man, just the first ad basically take up the whole space. So in 2020, this is what you will see, right? These are recent screenshot as it's no longer new, okay? And if you see how Google keeps on evolve is the cost per click typically keeps on increasing. It gets more and more expensive throughout the years because more people are bidding on them, right? And just like anything, in the beginning, the early adopters, they don't have to pay a lot, but slowly through the years, it only gets more and more expensive. So if your ad budget is still, let's say, $1,000 a month, right? Back then, maybe the cost per click is $5 a click, right? Slowly next year, 6, 7, 8, right? So in the Bay Area, for example, a cost on a Google ad per click might be 10 to $15, depends. So what we try to do is to bring down something called the cost through, let me show you, I don't have a slide here, quality score. So the quality score is based off on how relevant your ad is and your landing page is. So the higher the user experience, that means the ad copy is relevant and the landing page they land on is relevant, the cheaper the cost. So that's the framework we follow, is to make sure we target only super niched keywords, right? We don't want to be wasting your ad budget. If somebody just type in replacing windows, I have no idea whether they're right DIY folks or are they looking for a local distributor, local dealer. I have no idea, right? Just, or are they going to buy this online? I have no idea. So typically we go, if it's a dealer that's locally based, of course we will be bidding on something called city-based keyword. So if they're in Austin, it will be Austin replacement windows, Austin vinyl windows. Right? I think some of you on this call, you're concentrated on Marvin products. So we will bid, for example, wood windows or some of your Integrity Infinity dealers will bid on fiberglass windows. So the more niched, the better it is. And then we layer on top of that by geography. Same thing, the tighter the geography, the better results. So you could do a radius, or some of you offer like premium windows. Not everybody could afford motorized shades or afford large sliding glass wall Fleetwood. Then you might want to just concentrate on zip codes, right? Just target the higher end neighborhoods. Or of course, you can open up by city names and counties. If you open up pretty broad, then you still can exclude by zip codes. So if there's any neighborhoods that's less desirable, you still can exclude it. And with Google Ads is also you can turn on or off at any given time. And for example, the winter time, some of our clients in the Midwest, in the East Coast, right? It's rarely do people shop for windows. So what they would do is they will either pause their ads or just spend a little bit less and shift that ad budget to the springtime and the fall time. But typically for larger dealers, that's typically doing 10 million and up, they have reverse thinking. Is in the wintertime, they actually spend more on Google Ads because they still have the same amount of overhead, right? They would want to capture as many leads as possible. And naturally, in the springtime, they're busy already. So just, right, you can really tweak however you want on these ad budget. So let me sum up Google Ads. Google Ads, it's a great way to go after problem-aware homeowners. You can turn on, off at any given time. You can laser target, and it's also very cost effective, and everything's measurable here. Next is I want to talk about local search. Okay. Before I do that is I want to show you, let me see if I can find an example here. Give me 1 second. I have dual screen here. I just want to see if I can find an example for you. Okay, and there's something called local service ads. So this is in many major markets already. So here is your typical Google Ads. That's the section we are talking about, right? When we talk about Google Ads in this section here, we're talking about these ads. But in some industries, there is something called local service ads that's even more visible, higher up than your standard Google ads. And these are Google local service ads. These ads, we've been playing with these for a while. And these ads, let me just show you for fun. So these ads, you're paying just by the lead, okay? So if I'm in Anaheim as a homeowner, I will go on Google, I will type in Anaheim replacement windows. Then these are supposedly kind of like Angie's List. This is a version of Angie's List. It's just on Google. So Google will pre-qualify you, look at your state, look at your do background checks just to make sure it's legit. Then it'll run these ads for you. So if I'm looking for replacement windows, I will see these. Maybe I'll click on Window World of OC. From here, right, some basic information, and from here, I will just call them directly, and this is a tracking number. And you only get charged when they placed a phone call, and that is considered a lead. So we've been playing with a lot with these ads. I'm sorry, I'm looking at questions here. If there's any questions, okay. And the biggest thing with these is they're not as warm versus somebody who actually click on these standard ads, go on your website, really study your website, done a lot of homework before they call you. So all the tests we done, these are much warmer, hotter when they call you. These, right, not a whole lot of information. right? Let's Google guarantee list your services, right? But nothing on here really talks a whole lot about you. Even if people call, they're just lukewarm, okay? But it's still under the lead source, right? I would recommend at least go through all of you, at least go through and make sure that you went through the process of getting approval. It does go through a lengthy background check by Pinkerton. And once you're approved for a while. You just need to upload your licenses. Then it's up to you when you want to run it. But it's definitely a good way to at least grab another section within Google. It's just the leads aren't as hot, but the cost per lead might be a little bit lower. Okay. But again, the cost per sale might be higher because they're not as hot. Just under tactic here, right? So a lot of people wonder about these ads, and these are local service ads. Okay. Any questions, just feel free to ask. Okay. Or else I'm just going to jump a little bit faster comparing 2019 versus 2018. I'm sorry, 2020. Next, let's talk about local search. Local search is very easy to identify. There's always a map tied to maximum of 3 business listing. And it's this section here called local search. It's very, very confined. First of all, it's free, so I love it. But it's only confined. You most likely, if you're in a densely populated area, you will only be ranked in the city where your physical address is in, right? Let's say if your address is in Downers Grove, then you will only be ranked in Downers Grove. It might show up maybe in a city or two nearby, but once it gets right further out, you will not be ranked in local search. Local search is reserved for those who are truly locally based. So a good example is if you're looking for a Italian restaurant for dinner today, and if you go on Google and type in Italian restaurant near me, then of course you want to make sure Google returns the most relevant Italian, best rated Italian restaurant near you. If it's too far out, right, 5, 10 miles away, most likely you will think it's irrelevant. And that's the same thing with this local search. It's local intent. And Google's algorithm in this section just keeps on changing. For a while, it's favoring those business that's in the center, okay, closest to wherever Downers Grove Center is. But it's trying to fix its algorithm a little more. So if you're on the outer skirts of Downers Grove, hopefully in 2020, you will not be disadvantaged compared to before. And you guys already know, there's nothing new, is there's also an ad placed inside local search these days. And typically there's only 3. Here and there you will see a ad in here. This ad, there is still no way to directly influence because up here you can bid high for it, you can improve your quality score. In here is basically Google rotates everybody who's advertising. So it just rotates them. So it's basically a reward for as long as you're doing Google ad, your standard Google ads, then it'll also put your ad in here and just rotate amongst your competitors. Yeah, we're hoping that sometime soon it will help us, it will give us the leverage to bid independently. Hopefully that's coming. So the ranking algorithm for trying to get ranked in the 3-pack, these 3 results, is not a whole lot of things have changed. However, the biggest thing here is still how complete, right, is your business listing on Google. So let me show you an example here. Right, so this is your listing. So make sure the name, address, phone number, everything is accurate and up to date. And the biggest thing in 2020 is going to be reviews. And it shouldn't be a surprise to you. The more reviews you have, the more likely you're going to get ranked in local search. In 2019, reviews probably still only account for 20% of the overall ranking in the three pack. And I can bet you in 2020, it's going to be moving up to about a third of the ranking algorithm. It still bugs me a whole lot. Why in the world would Google be promoting a business that isn't highly rated? So I can bet you Google's evolving that as they go. Right now, it's still heavily weighted on your website content. Right? A lot is figuring out whether you're locally based and also looking at website. And the other thing is still is looking at something called citations. Citations is mention name, address, and phone number across the internet. Okay, so with local search, it's free. That's why make sure you're somehow ranked in your city in the three pack. But next section is going to be organic. That is the section all the way down here now. Okay, and organic search is why does it still matter, right? You got the ads all the way at the top, pushing the map listing further, pushing the organic further down. The big reason that organic still does matter is local search. You can only be ranked in the city where your physical address is. So you cannot be listed in other nearby cities, right? So if you want to also be showing up, getting more business from other cities nearby, you can buy ad placement and you can also get ranked organically. Organic ranking does not depend on your physical address. Okay, so that's why organic still does matter. But overall, organic is really a long-term tactic, right? Typically 6 to 12 months minimally, and that's ongoing adding content onto your website. So most of our clients, we just keep on adding fresh new content in a form of a blog, ongoing. We just keep adding more content to become the dominant content regarding Windows in their neighborhood. So we call these city pages. We just keep on adding city pages to the website. So typically once they saw you on a search, they go on your website. And a better website, the higher the conversions. So let's go over a small checklist on what you got absolutely must have on your website. First is call to action. Call to action subliminally, no matter where they go, make sure the phone number is sticking there, right? Most of the new websites that you see these days, it's in the good old days it's multiple pages. These days like very, very long form on the home page. Then if the phone number is not locked there, they have to go all the way up to see it. So make sure it's locked. Even more so, right? Everything's locked no matter which page you're on. Even more so on a mobile device. A mobile device, make sure the phone number is locked at the top, right? As they swipe down, most of the websites, check your own. Most websites, as you swipe, the phone number disappears. So what we do is always lock the phone number at the top, and also sometimes it makes sense, we'll put a phone icon there as well. So homeowners, once they're swiping around your website from their phone, right, this tiny little device, typically get a little frustrated, just want to call you. So make it easy for them to tap and call you. Next is page load time. The faster the website loads, the better the user experience. And there's a lot of people talking about, hey, if your website's loading slow, it's going to get penalized by Google. And still no concrete thing out there about this. It's just rumors. And of course, the better the website loads, the more likely the user experience is very high. They're going to really look around the website. And Google has a tool called Page Speed Insights that show you how fast is your website loading. This tool is very interesting. it gave Apple.com, one of the largest company, a poor score for their website because Apple's website, you can see there's a lot of high resolution pictures because they want to motivate you to buy. Similarly, for most of you home improvement, windows and doors, window covering, you want high resolution photos, minimally on a few pages, right? Those super nice, amazing lake house, for example, they kind of let people imagine about what it is like to get their windows replaced. So don't worry too much about, hey, if we get a poor score. Even Apple.com got a poor score, right? So just try this. This whole thing is just user experience. Just the easiest way to test this out is don't connect to a regular Wi-Fi. Just go outside and then just go on your website from this little device and see how fast it loads. If there's no friction while you're swiping around, you are good. Next is unique selling proposition. Is ideally on your website, you want to tell people how are you different, right? And with the prevalence of internet as more and more people are shopping around. So you want, once they come to your website, you want to tell them how are you different. An easy way to do that is just put an icon. It's like, for example, Brock, they have over 85,000 installation, 29 years, 100 employees, right? So once somebody come on here, they're like, wow, Brock, there must be very dominant. Then they will look around the website. So whether it's in the icon format or many of you just write out a couple of paragraphs, that's fine, or you put in bullet points. But the whole thing here is you got to tell consumers, homeowners, how are you different, right? You want to do the homework for them so they won't exit off your website and do the homework and then start comparing you. You want to tell them, hey, I'm truly different. Next is credibility. The more credibility signals, the better it is. So you definitely would like to have some nice before and after pictures, some good online reviews, right? Pull in all the good online reviews you have and good testimonials. Testimonials are not outdated. Anytime you get a testimonial, whether it's email, written, or what, put it on the website. Even handwritten ones. Rarely do we get handwritten thank you cards, but if you do, scan those in and put it on a website. Or I didn't do a screenshot. Here is video testimonials. And I know it's very, very hard to come by video testimonials, but I have a few clients where they incentivize their installers. And the installer, what they would do is after the job is done, they will ask the homeowner to stand in front of, let's say it's a replacement window and door job. They'll ask them to stand in front of the replacement door, the windows, and they will start interviewing them with this little device. This is good enough. You definitely do not want to hire a videographer. It looks fake. It looks too composed. Use this device, open up your phone, go to video and start recording. Ask three simple questions, right? For example, the first question is, right, how did you hear about us? Second question is what did we, right, what did we do for you? Third question here is, would you recommend us to friends and family, right? It's so easy with this device, right? Just start shooting. And then now you got a video. Typically around 1 minute, you upload this onto your website. Those carry a lot more credibility. I know it's very hard to come by, but it shouldn't be hard to get your installer just to shoot these, right? Incentivize them, right? 25 bucks, gift card, something like that. Next is having a business profile video on your website. So having a 1 minute business profile video is getting more and more critical. These need to be professionally shot. When somebody come to your website, they're looking for right? Images, pictures, text. But if you have a video on there, they're most likely going to watch the video first. These videos should be about a minute in length, and it's kind of like a mini commercial. It's a business promo video. Faces means trust. Now they get to visually see who the owners are, their staff, maybe have some job shoots of your team very clean in uniforms, or they covered right the sofa, all these areas. But in 1 minute, they get to know who you are, what you do, and most critically is how are you different. So make sure to get a 1 minute video done. And the About Us page, if somebody does went through all of the trouble and eventually land on the About Us page, that means they really want to figure out, are you trustworthy or not? So you want to make sure the About Us page covers the 5 W's. Who you are, right? When you start a business, right? What services do you offer? Where you're located? Which territory do you cover, and why? Why are you different? And faces means trust. You got to make sure on the About Us page, and minimally is a staff, right? A group staff photo. Then, if you want, you can do it similar to this client of ours. They would have bios, a picture along with the bios. Next is Google Analytics. With Google Analytics, we get a pinpoint, right? Where are people coming from? Which pages are they going to? But specifically, we look at which page that a lot of people visited, but they're exiting off from. It's not normal for right. A lot of people are going on the replace some Windows page, and 50% of them left. That means somehow that page isn't jiving with them, and then they're gone. Okay, so definitely look at analytics and pinpoint which pages aren't working, and then add better content on there. So once they came to your website, and most likely, right, once they came to your website, they might not call you right away, right? The buying journey is long for right, remodeling projects. So what you want to do is once they exit your website, you want to cycle them back to your website. So retargeting is very, very critical. So with retargeting, Google's retargeting is going to be the most economical one to do, and your ads will gently stalk them around the internet. Right? If they go subsequently went on Forbes.com, they will see your ad, right? If they went on CNN, they can see your ad, right? Fox News, right? I can never afford a ad placement on Forbes.com. No way. Or CNN or Fox News. But, right, since these are only following those just particularly to that person who been on website. So these are literally, right, cheap. And it doesn't cost you anything while the ads are following them around the internet. It only costs you when they click on the ad and go on your website. So let's say you have a spring promotion. The ads that will follow them around to nudge them to call you could be a promotionally based ad. You just use that ad to follow them around the internet. So retargeting is going to be very critical, especially not all of the folks who came to your website came from online marketing, right? They might be a referral. They came to your website. Once they left, now the ads start to follow around internet. Especially very often they are subsequently right, checking out your competitor's site as well. It's so critical to be found around the internet. So you can do the ads through Google Display Network, and Facebook is a shielded garden. So those Google Display ads or retargeting ads are the banner ads. they do not follow you into Facebook. So Facebook will also be something interesting to also tap into if you're already exhausted other avenues. The issue with Facebook is you're paying for eyeballs, right? Google Display Network, you're not paying for eyeballs, right? You only pay when they click on the ad and go on your website. With Facebook, you are paying for the impressions. That's why it's a little more expensive to run. One I super love it is going to be YouTube ads. So YouTube ads, these are again retargeting ads. It's only when they came to your website subsequently they left, then if they went on YouTube, they will see your ad. And most business owners I talked to, they thought it's very expensive to run YouTube ads. That is actually not true. YouTube ads, literally, it's free. The reason it's free is anytime, right, when we go on YouTube, we just want to click on skip, right? That initial 5 seconds when you hit skip, that's free for the advertiser. And if they didn't hit skip and they never watch more than 30 seconds of the video or more than half of the video, whichever one comes first, it's still free for the advertiser. So it's literally free. Right? It's great for branding to gently follow them around the internet. So when they're on YouTube, subsequently, right, they saw your company on here. And even though they might hit skip, it's that constant touches. It makes you look much bigger. Now, wherever they go on internet, it's like, wow, I keep on seeing, right? R&M quality Windows Store, for example. We just keep on seeing them everywhere. So that's why remarketing is a very good way to keep the leads warm. Next, let's talk about online reputation. Because typically, before they call you, right, then very often before they call you, they're going to check you out. And the best thing to do is to Google your own business name. So for example, if I type in RM quality windows and doors, then you will see tons of good reviews on here. And interesting thing here is very often whenever people Google your brand name, they're not necessarily looking for your ratings. They simply just might want to look at your phone number or your business hours, your address, or they just want to go on your website. But if you don't have good reviews, when they Google you, even as a referral, their neighbor, they see tons of negative reviews, most likely now they have second thought. So you gotta have good reviews. The top 3 review sites for the home improvement sector is still going to be these 3, Google, Yelp, and Facebook. If you're in the Midwest, Angie's List is pretty big. And so the big thing here, first of all, is if you can only focus on one network, Google should be the main one you should focus on because the reviews always show up on the right hand side. Facebook reviews, even if you're not actively posting on Facebook, the homeowners they still can come on Facebook and leave you a rating. And Yelp is of course huge, mainly in the right West Coast through the Midwest. Yelp is big, so they're public traded, of course. So they're getting more and more market share in the home improvement sector. So make sure you're also focused on generating more reviews on Yelp. So let me go over how to get more reviews, positive reviews, and how to negate negative reviews. Especially once you get a negative review, what can you do to get that negative review removed? So this is the framework is whenever you get a negative review, first of all is you got to cool down, right? Most of us, we really do care for the job that we performed, and we get very, very agitated, um, a little more egocentric whenever we get negative reviews. So it's very, very critical we cool down first. Once you cool down, grab a drink of water, come back, and then you want to make sure you directly message that person. Especially with Yelp, you get to log into your Yelp profile and privately message the reviewer. That privately messaging is super critical. First of all, is you're documenting, telling Yelp that you did indeed cared, you did indeed reached out to the homeowner. So you're documenting that. So the chance of them removing it is a little bit higher. And once you reached out, privately messaging that homeowner, is you definitely want to take it offline. Right? Hopefully you are able to call them, repair the damage offline. And very often, what the homeowner would do is they will go back on Yelp and move it up to a 5 star. But what if it's a fake review? What if they don't move it up to 5 star? Then you definitely want to subsequently go public. So you want to leave a public comment. Public comment is actually very critical. If most likely look at your own behavior, when you go on Amazon, let's say you're looking for a laser pen, you trust the ones with the most positive reviews. But once you go into that listing, what you will purposely scan are the negative reviews, right? Because the majority of reviews, hundreds of them are positive. You purposely look at the negative review just to see what happened. But if nobody from that manufacturer responded to that negative comment, you psychologically will think that's real. That's why leaving a public comment is super critical. And do not start a war because it's public, right? But err on the side, at least telling your side of the story. And then finally, you get to flag it. So that's a framework on how to get more, or how to um, deal with negative reviews and get it taken down. And what are some ideas for generating more positive reviews? I'll share with you some tactics of what the other dealers are doing. Most of them that have a lot of reviews, what they would do is ask in person. After the job is done, the installer, what they would do is they will ask the homeowner, hey, can you please leave us a review on Google? And very often the homeowner will say, yeah, sure. Then what the installer would do is they will pull out their cell phone and they will say, can I text you a link right now? And you're holding them on the spot. And the homeowner would unfortunately have to say yes. So you will text them the link, they will tap it and go directly to your Google page and leave your review. So I see more and more of these. Of course, be gentle with it, right? But many of them are using this tactic to hold the homeowner accountable on the spot. That's how they're getting so many reviews. And some of them do, of course, have an office manager call after the job is done just to check in. How did the job went? If the job didn't went as well as expected, you just stopped a negative review from going online. That's why, from a customer service point of view, it's very critical for somebody to be following up after a job is done, mainly to stop a negative review. If they're happy, then of course you can gently ask, "Can I send you an email to Google if you can leave us a Google review?" So you can see all these frameworks you gotta ask for reviews. And there's survey tools out there that help you generate more positive reviews. And they'll more or less function the same, right? It's you enter in the customer's name and email, it will send out a survey asking Are you happy or are you not happy? If they're happy, they will go, it's becoming multiple choice, and you can choose which network you want to leave a review. And if they're not happy, then they can reach out to you. If you're using one of these survey tools, I think some of you on this call are existing clients. We're already compliant. Um, but if you're not, make sure if you're using one of these third-party survey tool, make sure you don't have you don't have Yelp turned on. Yelp doesn't like it whenever you solicit reviews. It's very easy to reverse engineer and see that it's coming from a survey tool. So make sure if you're using survey tool, you turn off um, Yelp by default. But Google and Facebook, they're totally fine. They want you to ask for reviews. But all these network, they want you to ask for reviews except Yelp, but they don't want you to be bribing for reviews. Bribing, of course, is different. And I seen some window and door, not clients of ours, just the shady ones. What they would do is they would use gift cards, right? If you leave us a review, we'll give you $100 Amazon gift card or Starbucks. That's how they're able to get that many reviews. But again, those are totally shady practices. I don't want you to get into trouble. Okay. So reviews, definitely you want to get more reviews. And this to me, reviews is still one of those unfair advantage for a home improvement company, right? If your competitors have 50 reviews, you want to shoot for 100, right? You want to be having a super wide margin to the point that people just want to do business with you, right? So definitely make sure that you have a framework, a process for generating more positive reviews. Next, since we already talked about going after problem aware homeowners, once you exhausted that, there's always going to be a point you exhausted that channel because there's only so many people at any given time looking for your services. Then to go beyond that, you have to do display, interruption-based advertisement. Those are going to be similar to offline would be your TV, radio, newspaper, billboards. But let's talk about social media. Social media is also part of branding awareness, getting a name out there. So if we talked about social media, we have a framework here. We call it the social success cycle. And it's following this framework here is you got to make sure you're doing quadrant one, social listening. Social listening is somebody is acting as a community manager. They're monitoring and responding to comments that's being left on your social media profile. So this is so critical. And if you don't have somebody else helping you do social media, make sure you assign somebody internal, most likely a millennial, because they're glued to this device all the time. Make sure they are the one monitoring the comments for you. Next is social influencing. This typically people worry about what type of content should I be posting on a regular basis to get engagement. And we'll talk a lot about social influencing. Next is social networking. Social networking is typically is what PR's job duty is in what earned media mentions the relationship maybe with other potential joint ventures or with other builders, architects, right? What you could do easily is follow them. Let's say it's a builder. Let's say follow them on Facebook. Anytime that builder post something on Facebook, you jump in the conversation. You leave a wise comment, you like it, you share it. And the rule of reciprocity will kick in. They in turn now will start liking your stuff, sharing your content. Now virtually you guys created a relationship. Now when you call them, they would know who you are. The relationship, of course, is still built much more solid if you're able to take it offline. Lastly, is when you do social selling. Okay, social media is not a place to sell people stuff. They get turned off. So let's deep dive into content. What type of content should you be posting on a regular basis? So the easiest way to explain this would be to follow what the framework of large companies. They got this figured out already. And most large companies that do social media, they would have a topic map. The topic map is based off from your demographics, your ideal avatar. Who, what do they enjoy seeing when they're on on social media? So for Rosetta Stone, they know their demographics very, very well, their avatar. Those who tend to buy from Rosetta Stone, they tend to travel. They love to travel to foreign destinations. So what they would do is post a lot of inspiration photos, content about traveling. So this one here this is a charming village in Alsace, France. There are many activities you can do there. But if you read this, nothing on here talks about buy from us because it turns people off. This is a piece of value add content. And while somebody is engaging with this, I didn't take screenshot. I should have. There's a lot of comments, likes, and shares. But it's subliminally planting a seed. If you do want to go to France, pick up one of our language programs. Okay, and that's how you do social media the right way, as you don't sell. You let the content, you do a lot of value add content. So looking at Rosetta Stone, this is the 5 topics they post on a regular basis. It doesn't mean they wouldn't post here and there about other topics, but these are the golden ones they always go for. One more example, H&R Block. We all know they do taxes, but rarely do they post a lot of content about come to us for taxes. So their content is actually pretty simple. They do a lot of content, more educational tips. So it serves 2 major demographics, H&R. They serve small business owners and individual taxpayers. So with H&R Block, you will see that they will post a lot of content about employment law, employment tips, business finance tips, right? And then personal finance tips, saving for college tips, and home ownership tips, right? You can see these are content that jives with their demographics. So the whole rule of thumb, and I'll show you a framework for home improvement companies. The whole framework here is following the cheese and the whisker model. The cheese and the whisker model. If you're a mouse, you run towards cheese. Right? If you see cheese, you run towards it. And that is value add content. But if you see right around the corner, if your mouse right around the corner, there's whiskers coming out. It's a cat. You run away. So the whole framework here is the content shouldn't be should be more cheese, less whisker. So if we look at home improvement companies, this is the framework here. So the framework again is to study your demographics, your ideal avatar. What do they enjoy seeing? So if you are a replacement window door company, of course, you'll be adding a lot of content about different types of windows, right? Different types of large sliding glass wall. So those are canned templated content, which you should still put in there. But if they keep on saying you just post a lot of content about windows, they get bored. So again, looking at the demographics, what do they enjoy seeing? So typically, if you look at those home decor magazines, right, they do have a lot of home decor tips, home improvement tips, and home organizing tips, right? It's not far off from windows and doors, right? It's a one layer, right? That's still close by. Is if they tend to love to do remodeling, then it makes sense to layer in a lot of content about home organization, improvements, and home decor. But the piece of content that will drive the most with them are going to be behind the scenes type of content. That's this topic here. Behind the scenes is they want to see the real you, right? The real you is you should be posting a lot of content about your day-to-day operation. And this is going to be our friend. There's no more excuse. This is not 10 years ago, okay? There's no more excuse for not taking photos with this little tiny device. This can take super outrageously good photos and videos. So what you want to do or to incentivize your installers is to make sure they're taking before and after pictures and also taking pictures of the actual job site, right? And ideally, a lot of these should have faces. Okay, maybe when one of your team is installing window. Also taking pictures of the showroom. And also behind the scenes could be, right? Most homeowners, they have no idea. How did the windows they ordered, how in the world did they came from, let's say, Marvin over to the showroom? Did they came from Crate? Did they came from Marvin truck? How in the world did they came in, right? So it's good to show them the journey of how it's being made. So the more content that you can produce that's behind the scenes, the more likely they're going to engage with you. And the three big platforms for home improvement sector is still going to be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Okay. And these Pinterest, House, Nextdoor, they're still pretty important, but Facebook is going to be the king of here and Instagram. But there's a fundamental issue going into 2020 with Facebook. It is something called organic reach. So what you and I would think that if you have 100 followers on your Facebook page, supposedly all of those 100 followers, they should be seeing your post, right? Anytime I post something, suppose all those 100 folks, if you're on Facebook, they should see my post. That is the good old days. So 2 years ago, 2018, the organic reach was down to 10%. 10% means if you have 100 followers, only 10% or 10 people will see your post on their feed, which is like nothing, right? What's worse is last year, 2019, the organic reach was down to only 5%. And bet you, happy to place a bet here, is for 2020, we should be closing off 2020 with very, very lousy organic reach, only 2 to 3%. The reason Facebook did this is Facebook's algorithm is favoring friends and families post over commercial intent. So the commercial intent, since supposedly commercially intent, Facebook wants you to pay for the reach. What this means is if your organic reach in 2019 is only 5%, the other 95% who are already following you, if you want them to be seeing your content, now you have to boost it. Okay, not loving this, but it's right, it's Facebook's ball court. We just have to play by the rules. So when you boost the content, what you're boosting is not to gain new followers. The boost is mainly for your existing followers to see your content. Okay, so what we preach over here is something called a dollar a day strategy. Is each post right, that you're posting, just back it up by $1 or $2. Okay, that $1 or $2 go a long way from a reach point of view. You don't need to be spending thousands, hundreds on this. The organic reach could be easily resolved by every time you post a piece of content, right, boosted by $1 or $2. That's it. And you should be boosting to those who already liked your page, not to their friends, not to new target to gain new followers. That's not the main purpose here. So if you, let's say you're posting every day, Monday through Sunday, each one you post every day gets $1. So you spent $7. Then now there's actually more people, your existing followers, seeing the content. Now you know which of those 7 posts got better engagement. Now that's the post you actually boost even more. Maybe you boost $10. That's the one when you boost, you want to boost it to, right, other homeowners in that area, for example. Okay, so this is a fundamental issue with Facebook, is the organic reach is super lousy. It is not because your content is poor. It's fundamentally people aren't even seeing your content. Okay, so that is Facebook. Okay, and let's also talk a little bit about just show you with Facebook. There's also a hack here. Um, with Facebook, you get to upload a customer list. Okay, so we call this database marketing. Let's say you have a list of homeowners where you set appointment, but you were never able to close them. That's one list. You have a separate list of those where they display interest, but you weren't able to schedule an appointment yet. What we could do is we can upload the list. Okay. And what Facebook will do is we will custom match the list. And let's say it's a list of those who you weren't able to set appointment yet. So when those homeowners are on Facebook, now the ads will specifically just target them. Okay, so hopefully you can leverage this to rekindle some of these leads that went from hot to lukewarm to cold. Okay, so those are the big stuff. Okay, I'm gonna skip some of these and just wrap it up here. So let me summarize a few strategies here. To me, the most important is still to go after those who are problem aware. Always exhaust that first, because these are much harder, hotter, and warmer. Is to go after search and sending traffic to the website, remarket them, right? Nurture them around the internet through Google Display Network, Facebook, and YouTube, and have stellar reviews. If you don't hear anything, right, nothing sinking with you today, just remember you gotta get more reviews. And there's always going to be a time when you exhausted search. There's only so many people who are problem aware. Then the next thing I would, if I were you to deploy, will be interruption based advertisement. Those will be Facebook ads, doing social media, and display ads. But these, you can see, they're not as hot. That's why we call these top of the funnel leads. But you have to bring people who aren't aware of your services yet and bring them down into warmer prospects. Okay, so those are the main thing I want to strategize with you guys, and most of you are clients already. But if you have any questions, and most of you should have my cell phone, feel free to reach out to me directly. Okay, but hopefully we can help you generate more revenue for 2020. Thank you all so much for your time. Any questions? Just feel free to reach out to me. Bye bye.